I want to challenge myself to make a Roblox game in just 7 days. Here is the plan. The game is going to be similar to Restaurant Tycoon 2, so I'm going to use that as a reference point. The main difference is that I want the cooking to be more interactive and entertaining. It is also going to be all about sushi. In 7 days, I want to create at least 3 different recipes. For the first 3 recipes, I want salmon maki, avocado maki, and tuna nigiri. To create maki, I want 2 steps. I want the player to drag and drop the different ingredients in the correct order to build up the roll. I was also going to have a minigame for rolling up the sushi, but I decided to skip it. The final step is to cut the sushi roll with a timing minigame where you stop a moving line inside of a bar. To create the nigiri, I also want 2 steps. The first step is to form the rice with a skill-based balancing minigame similar to fish. I didn't have any better ideas, so for the second step, you add the fish to each rice mound by simply pressing it. In the future, I'd like to expand on my game by creating a building system to allow players to design their own restaurants and add different types of customers that force you to play the game differently. Day 1. Today I mostly planned out the game and created some basic systems. Firstly, I got it so you can start an order which could be tracked on both the client and server. I also got it so the player can use the counters, which locks the player's movement and camera. To back out, you can just jump to escape them. Throughout this project, I'm doing my best to keep the code as organized as possible, using module scripts as much as I can. Day 2. For day 2, I worked on the ingredient placing minigame for Maki. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish everything. I changed the description of the order UI so it lists the different ingredients and made the model appear on the counter when interacted with. The entire cooking process is on the client side, which currently other players cannot see. This should reduce lag and make it easier to have settings in the future to enable or disable other people's cooking. I also got it so hovering over each ingredient highlights them. Currently, when clicked, the ingredients print their names, but when finished, it will be a drag and drop system onto the bamboo mat. The model also spawns in correctly based on the orientation of the counters, which ended up being harder than expected and was why I couldn't finish the minigame. Day 3. For day 3, I finished the minigame. The first change you'll notice is I added some sound effects when starting an order and placing ingredients correctly. Placing incorrect ingredient notifies you. Incorrect ingredient, check the order again. The drag and drop system now works and highlights the tan part after pressing on an ingredient. The model builds up the layers procedurally, so depending on if it's an avocado roll versus salmon roll, it still works perfectly fine. Lastly, after beating the minigame, it switches to the cutting roll minigame and changes the description of the order to step 2 of 2. Day 4. For day 4, I finished the cutting minigame. The tricky part was getting the roll to slice up as you successfully cut it. I ended up having each part of the roll be a different segment and moved each part over a little and rotated them. The problem was, I had to make the movement work for each orientation of the counters, which was difficult until I learned about using vectors to change the X on the local axis. When you successfully cut, I made it play a sound effect and flash the bar green. To make things more interesting, I also moved the green area whenever you successfully hit it. If you miss, it flashes red and plays a failure sound. When you finish the minigame, it plays another sound effect, and then, since it's the last step, you are kicked off the counter. Now you can start another order. The minigame may be a little difficult, but that's your problem. Day 5. Now that I've finished 2 minigames, I wanted to switch gears and set up the stat systems. I created some new GUI for the player level and experience bar and their coins. The coin image I actually created myself in Illustrator, and although the current colors look a little dark in game, I think it turned out pretty good. I used a tutorial by AshRBX to save the player data, but ended up having to modify it to allow new stats to be easily added to a player that already had saved data. Lastly, when you finish an order, I created a cool effect where experience orbs appear and fly towards your level bar, with some satisfying sound effects. This took a while to figure out, but the end result is definitely worth it. Day 6. For day 6, I created 2 more minigames for making nigiri. The first one is for molding the rice. There's a progress bar that gets increased by hovering the blue area over the line. Every 6 of the way, a mound of rice gets formed, a sound effect plays, and the line moves to another random position. This minigame was difficult to balance because I wanted it to be challenging enough so it's engaging to play, but not too challenging where new players couldn't complete it. To get the bar movement to feel natural, I added and subtracted velocity that caps out after a certain point and resets when hitting the side. The next minigame is very simple. Like I said before, I didn't have too many good ideas, so it's just pressing on each mound to place a fish. It's simple, but it works well and it's fun to try to finish quickly, sort of like an aim trainer. Depending on the order, the fish that appears also changes colors. When you try placing an already placed fish, it notifies you, fish already added. And of course, when you finish the order, the same experience effect plays. Day 7. For the final day, I just polished a couple bugs, added mobile support, and created a nice environment to cook in. The bamboo texture, I experimented with ChatGPT creating it, and it ended up being pretty good. To get the lighting correct, I used point lights attached to an invisible part under each light in order to light the room correctly. I tried spotlights and surface lights. They didn't look good, so I think this is the best way. The build isn't anything special, but it does the job, and you can even sit with the bacon hair. I even added a little trophy of me and my first subscriber. Although the game isn't much right now, I'm really happy with the progress I achieved in 7 days. If you want to see me continue development, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.